Hello, Chantelle. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. If you could please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name's Chantelle and I'm from Chichester in West Sussex. And yeah, I've just come on today to share my birth stories because I'm a little bit obsessed with all things birth.
Yay. It's so funny, isn't it? I feel like some people do go that way once they've experienced it and it's been really positive. They go the way of, being like a real cheerleader for birth
Yeah,
and talk about it all the time. And
yeah,
yeah, it's nice. It's good. So,
yeah.
okay, so what was it that got you into hypnobirthing in the first place? Had you had like friends do it or family, or had you just heard about it? What was the situation?
So I hadn't heard of it, and so I've got a 14-year-old
Yeah.
and I've got a nearly 2-year-old.
Yeah.
So when I had my 14-year-old, it was just a case of I had no idea, nothing.
Yeah.
You just go, you make a midwife
Yeah.
appointment, and you just
Yeah.
leave it to the hospital. Knew nothing about it.
Yeah.
Um, and then my good friends who had children at a more acceptable age, should I say,
I love it.
one of those, she did hypnobirthing and told me about it. And then I think from then on, I just kind of had it in the back of my mind that next time I would
Wow.
look into it. And then meeting my husband now, I think once once you kind of know that, right, this is it, we're going to be together forever, I think I was just so excited for the day to come that we would eventually have a baby
Oh.
together. So even when we got married, which was, I can't even remember the year now, that's so bad. But when we got married, I just already was researching hypnobirthing, and I did
Oh.
sort of listen to podcasts. So the first one I knew about was I can't think what it's called now, Positive Birth Company.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I looked into them and they had a little podcast, so I listened to them first
Yeah.
and then found yours because then I googled
Yeah.
hypnobirthing podcast and you came up
Great.
straight away, and I
Yeah.
pretty much just binged through them, and this was before I was even pregnant.
Oh my
So it was
God.
still just an idea, yeah. So I just fell into this hole of being obsessed with listening to every single
I love
birth
it.
story, and yeah, it just went from there really.
I bet it made you feel even more excited, didn't it? Like listening to the stories.
Yeah, definitely, because I'm a little bit not desensitized to it, but I remember that even when I was pregnant with my son, obviously I would have been 19, I think.
Mm.
And back then I watched One Born every minute
Yeah.
religiously. And
Mm.
now I know
Yeah.
more and just better educated. But even when I watched it back then, nothing ever scared me. I just found it so fascinating, all of it.
Wow. Yeah.
So I just, even back then, I just listened to everything. So I think I'm one of the people that are knowledge is power rather
Yeah.
than knowledge scares me.
Yeah. So you didn't
'Cause
have a lot of fear around it then. So that was good. That's a good
no,
thing.
yeah, yeah. So even when I had my son, I mean, the the birth with him was very different, and as I say, I didn't know anything about it, but afterwards, I just remember being like, "Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Like, how is that even a thing?"
Wow.
But yeah, it was just loved it
So
all.
I know you're not here to talk about his birth, but his
No.
birth, what, just roughly, how was that experience?
So it was very long. So I had like
Mm.
a really, really long um latent phase, they call it, don't they?
Yeah.
So I went into labour, probably had my first contractions about 5:30 in the morning on a Monday, and he wasn't born until Thursday night.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so it went on, so I had sort of 3 days of start, stop.
Yeah.
But when it was going, I was sort of 3 minutes apart and they were lasting long and it was really tough. But every time I went to the hospital, they were like, 1 centimetre, go home.
Oh,
And it was
gosh.
just a little bit like that pretty much for those 3 days. And then I think by the Thursday morning, I went in at 10:30 AM, was I think 2 centimeters, but they were really quiet. So they
Progress.
were like, "Just come in and just chill out here for a bit." And then when they checked me again at 2:30 PM, I had gone to 4 finally.
Oh,
So they let me
wow.
go up and get in the pool, but he still wasn't born until 5 to 9 at night.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. It just took a
Yeah.
while.
It was a long time, and it's so funny because obviously knowing what I know now and thinking even things like my age, and I
Mm,
just had no idea. I think had the hospital not been that quiet, I think
yeah.
things would have been very different because they
Yeah.
didn't there was no pressure. I was really left alone, and it was really super calm, and they just checked on me every now and then. But
Yeah.
I just know from so many stories that even, 4 hours later, they might be like, "Right, you're not progressing enough. Let's try
Yeah.
and push it
Yeah.
along somehow." So I do think that that was just luck. Look,
Yeah.
like, reflecting
Yeah.
back, I think that was.
Yeah, it kind of sometimes is just the luck on the day of like the situation at the hospital or the midwives that you get, the people that are on
Yeah,
shift. It just, unfortunately, yeah,
yeah,
sometimes just comes
no.
down to that, which
So I was
so
really lucky.
so when you were pregnant for the second time, you already
Mhm.
kind of knew what you wanted roughly
Yeah,
from your research. It's
yeah,
really funny actually because I've had a few people on the podcast recently who have all started educating themselves on it before they're pregnant. It's really
yeah.
weird because I've been doing the podcast for it's 6 years this year soon, 6 years
Mhm.
soon, and it's only been in the last like month where I've had a few people on that have said that to me that they had
Yeah,
started. It's just funny because it's all kind of funny that there's been a few people recently that had
yeah,
started learning about it before. So yeah, you already knew kind of roughly what you
yeah, kinda,
wanted.
yeah, so I was listening, definitely wanted to do hypnobirthing. I was very aware that because my labour with Dylan, I remember kind of resisting for that first half, like really resisting, and then getting to a point where I think it was my midwife actually. She sort of gave me a good talking to, and she was like, "You've been through worse in life. Get over it," kind of thing. Just kind of
Great.
like
Yeah.
let.
Yeah.
And then from that moment, I just kind of let it happen. And the minute I
Yeah.
did, things happened. So I think I was very aware that I needed to just surrender myself to the process and just
Yeah.
let it do what it needs to do, which meant that I did need to be able to take myself mentally to a place
Yeah.
that wasn't almost in my body.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my first thought. But when I was listening to, obviously, I listened to your whole podcast, and
Mm.
then I needed more. So
Yeah.
I was looking again, and then I found one that was called Happy Home Birth.
Oh,
And
okay. Yeah.
it's actually an American podcast. The
Yeah.
lady, I can't remember the lady's name, but she's American, and she has mostly American people on there. So again, it's very different, but I was aware,
Yeah.
they're different out there. They've
Yeah.
got different rules and things like that. But a lot of them were doing home births. So then I started thinking, "Oh, maybe I want to do a home birth."
Oh,
And then, yeah, just sort of broached the subject with my husband, who I sort of thought wouldn't be on board, but he actually was really receptive. So that was it. We were like, "Right,
right.
home birth it is," with some hypnobirthing alongside. So,
Amazing.
yeah, that was
So
the plan.
tell us how it went. How was the birth?
So I can't remember what day of the week it was, but went to bed, and I think it was about 11 p.m. that I woke up with Braxton Hicks, and I thought, "Oh, that was a bit spicy." And then you just sort of, well, go back to sleep. But because I was 39 weeks and 3 days. Yeah, 3 days at that point. So I knew I was close. And yeah, just tried to go back to sleep, but then another one came, and I was like, okay, that definitely was like a little bit. I always describe them as warm. I don't know why,
Yeah.
but they're
Oh,
just
okay.
different, and they're just quite. I found them quite warm, and I was like, okay. So I
Yeah.
looked at the time, and then again waited, and then another one came. So I looked at the time again, and I was like, okay, fine. And I think I managed about 20 minutes in bed before I was like, I'm going to go downstairs, and I just pottered downstairs. I sort of shook Anthony. I was like, I think something's happening, but I'm not sure, so just stay in bed. So I came downstairs and I just put Friends on, and I just
Oh,
lay.
I did that. That's
Yeah,
exactly what I watched as well.
yeah. Just, I think I was near the end. I was on the last season, so I just thought, right,
Uh,
I'm halfway through. I'll pop it on,
yeah.
and I just laid on the sofa and just sort of thought, oh, I'll try and doze, but they were already sort of 8 minutes apart.
Right.
Um,
Wow.
and I had downloaded the Freya app, which because I remember from when I had Dylan that I had just written it down on a piece of
Oh,
paper,
wow.
and I was getting confused because I wasn't able to calculate the minutes
Yeah.
between.
Yeah.
So I just thought, "I'm not doing
That's
that
old
again."
school.
I
That is
know.
old school.
But yeah, so when I learnt about the Freya app, I was like, "That's
Oh,
amazing.
it's,
Does it
yeah,
all
so
for you."
easy.
Yeah, so and it helped me with breathing because I actually really struggled with taking breaths for that many
Yeah.
seconds. I don't know
Yeah.
why, I just really struggled with it. So I just did 3 and 6,
Yeah. That's
and
fine.
just tried with that, but it did help me with that, but mainly for the counting aspect.
Mm.
And yeah, so I was actually looking back at it the other day,
Mm.
and just to get an idea of how how far apart they were, but yeah, they were sort of 7 minutes apart for about half an hour, and then they dropped to 5 minutes apart for about
Wow.
half an hour, and then they went to 3 minutes apart, so it sort of progressed quite quickly.
Yeah.
Um, and I just carried on, and then I think it was probably about 5:30 AM, Anthony came downstairs. He was like, "You're still up. You should have come wake me up." But I was so convinced that it was gonna last 2 days because Dylan's had been 4, I thought, "Right, second birth,
The half.
half it." So it would be 2 days. So he came down and made some breakfast and teas for us. But I said, "I think this is I think you're fine to go to work." I said, "Just go to work."
Oh my God, you
I
told
know.
her to go to
Oh,
work.
well, I just thought that it was gonna keep going. I really, really did, and especially I was waiting for it to stop as well,
Yeah, of
because my
course.
last one had stop-started. So I
Yeah.
actually went and had a shower at some point as well, and it didn't stop while I was in the shower, and I was like, "Fine, okay." But by the time I came back downstairs, he was like, "I'm not going to work. I've told them I'm not going." And I was like, "Okay, fine." And then we just carried on like that really. He dropped Dylan to school at about would have been 7:30, 7:30, 7:45, and then we had packed an overnight bag for him because I was so worried about him being in the house because if I'm in pain or I'm trying to concentrate or anything, everything annoys me, just
Yeah. Yeah.
everything. So, damage control, I did not want him in the house.
No, fair.
I just said, "He's got to go," and because I thought it was gonna go on for so long, I got my mum to come and collect his overnight bag, and he was gonna stay at my sister's after school, so she was
Yeah.
just gonna pick him up after school, take him home, whatever. So my mum came to collect his bag. She was here probably for about 15, 20. I think she would have loved to stay longer, but I was like, "You need to
Oh,
leave now."
yeah.
But yeah, so that probably would have gone on until about 8:30. And then, yeah, things had ramped up. I was sort of finding that I needed to vocalize to sort of manage the contractions and stuff. And then I text my midwife because my midwife's really good. She so the midwife I had also is part of the home birth team,
Okay.
and she pretty much said to me, "I will not be at your birth, so I will be there. So don't even call triage, just message me."
Oh,
So I messaged her at probably at about 8:30 and just said, "Just so you know, I've been in labour since last night." And then, because the Freya app had actually, by about 7 o'clock in the morning, it had told me I was in established labour.
yeah.
But I was like, "No, surely not." And because it still was, I'd have one that would be like 45 seconds long, and then one that was a minute and a half, and then
Yeah.
I might have a random contraction that's only 20 seconds long. So
Yeah.
I just thought, no, it's not real.
Yeah.
Um, and she had messaged saying, "Do you want me to come over?" And I said, "No, it's fine. I'll let you know." She said, "Just let me know as soon as you want." So I pumped up the birth pool, and then yeah, just had it all ready. So yeah, it probably got to about 9 o'clock. And Anthony said, "Do you think we should get the midwives here now?" And I was like, I don't think so." I was like, "I think I'm okay." I said, "But I think fill the bath up because we had this really long pump because
Okay.
our hose wouldn't fit on the taps." So I
Oh,
had this electric pump thing that the hose did attach to. So I said, "If
yeah.
you fill the bath, we'll put the pump in the bath and then run the hose downstairs and it will fill
That's a good
out." So
idea.
it was a big operation, but it actually made things much quicker.
Yeah.
but we still hadn't done it. And then I think it was about 9:20, my midwife had messaged and just said, "I'm just about to drive past your road. Do you want me to pop in and see how you're doing?" And Anthony was like, "Can you just say yes, please?" And I was like, "Fine." So she came in and then just sort of popped in at first, and then just sort of, "How are you doing?" That sort of thing, on the in between contractions when you're
Yeah.
functioning like normal.
Yeah.
And then she said, I'm just going to go and get my stuff." And she went back to the car and then got her stuff. And then I said, "Oh, I asked Anthony, can you fill the pool up now? Can we start filling the pool up now? Because I think I want to get in." And I didn't know this until after, but I think she had said to him, like, you're not going to fill that pool up.
No time.
No
Yeah.
time. But obviously she didn't realize that our pump, as in there was a bath full of water ready to
Yes,
go, and then
course.
it would have
Yeah.
just been topping that up.
Yeah.
So he filled the pool up and I got in the pool, and so that probably was about 9:45 maybe by the time that happened. Oh, she did offer me a check as well, which is something that I'd had in my birth plan I didn't want. I just thought, I
Yeah.
don't need to know. After last time, I felt like every time I
Mm.
found out, it just made me think, "Oh my gosh, but I've still got this to go." So I just
Yeah.
sort of thought, but actually in the moment I was just curious, I think,
Yeah, that
because
happens a lot actually.
yeah, so and because it was something I changed my mind in the moment and I felt okay about it.
Yeah.
And she's so relaxed and so hands off that I trusted that
Yeah.
it wasn't going to turn into anything it shouldn't, kind of thing. And she yeah, so she had checked me before I got in the pool and just said, you're a good 7."
Wow, good.
um so I got in the pool, and actually I went for a wee first. So I went upstairs, went for a wee, and as I was coming back down the stairs I had a contraction, and it had been happening anyway, so every time I had one I had to stop.
Yeah.
But this one, at the very end of it, I just felt myself sort of like that sort of downward pushing, and I was like, "Oh, okay." Gonna get in the pool now.
Is
So
that going up and down the stairs? Like that's always a really good
yeah,
tip for people is like
yeah,
walk up and down the stairs.
yeah, and it's funny as well because we don't have a bathroom downstairs, so
Yeah.
it was so annoying because every time I needed a wee, I'd go
You have to
upstairs
go
and I'd
up.
have to stop halfway.
It
And then
probably helped you a lot though, because it just
yeah,
wiggles the baby into position.
yeah, for sure. But yeah, so I got into the pool at about quarter to 10. And then my next contraction immediately, I think, was sort of pushing down. And I
Wow.
just had the birth comb up to this point.
Yes.
So I had a few contractions in the pool. It was sort of on and off. One would be sort of a little bit pushy, and then one would be just okay and normal. But then I just said, "Can I have some gas and air now, please?" Because a part of me, again, I was sort of thinking, "Oh, I might do it without," but equally I
Yeah.
was okay with,
Yeah.
if I wanted gas and air, it's fine. It wasn't
Yeah.
a big deal to me. So she got the gas and air out, and then yeah, from then on the contractions were all pushy. But she asked me if I wanted pictures taken, and so her secondary midwife was taking pictures, and I can see on the photos that at 9:40, no, sorry, 9:59, you can see like the very, very tip of baby's head.
Wow.
And in the next couple of photos at 10:01, she's in my arms. So yeah, so it was so quick.
That's
So,
mad.
and to think that she had only got there at about 9:25, and then by 1 minute past 10, the baby was born, and there was me thinking that I was going to be going on for 2 days. I
Yeah. And
just
also,
couldn't believe it.
if she hadn't have texted you to say, I'm just driving past your house, shall I pop in? You probably wouldn't have
I
rung her
no,
until
no, and
maybe
that's the
just
thing.
before.
And I think it's funny as well because there was always a small part of me that just kept thinking, because where I live is like a dead end road. It's a little
Mm,
cul-de-sac type thing. On the other road, on the other side, is the main road that's got the turning to the hospital.
right.
So we were so close. So
Oh,
even if
so
we
close.
needed to get in the car, we'd be
Yeah.
there within a minute kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think that gave me kind of reassurance with the home
It
birthing because
relaxed
I
you a
know,
bit. Yeah.
yeah, but I think part of me just sort of thought, well, if she doesn't make it or if I end up free birthing, she'll get here not long after
Yeah,
or whatever.
exactly.
Do you know,
Yeah.
I was just
Yeah.
so chilled about it and not worried. I
Yeah.
was just so not worried this time. It was just
Yeah.
all the
Well, you didn't need
research
to
and stuff.
be. You
No,
didn't
that
need to be. Like, you
no.
could have done it. You could have done it
Yeah,
without her there.
yeah. So, and that was it. She was born at 1 minute past 10. Yeah.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
It was quite intense, and
Yeah.
I always say to my husband, I'm so not annoyed at myself, but I really liked the idea of breathing the baby
I
out
know.
and just
Yeah.
trying. But I do remember from Dylan, because I remember after he was born, I remember when I had started pushing with him, because I think my last check, I was still only 7 centimeters or something. And it wasn't long after that I started pushing with him. And I remember the midwife going, "Don't push, you're not ready to push." And I was like, "I'm not, like, that's not me.
Yes.
Somebody else, like, my body
Yeah.
is just doing it." And I remember being so fascinated after and knowing, right, I need to resist that next time and just try and breathe through it. Didn't happen at
No,
all. I
it's
had
hard.
absolutely no control over that whatsoever.
You
Just,
don't though. Like you don't. It's
just
like vomiting. Like you
yeah,
can't
yeah,
control it. It's
yeah,
your body doing it. You have
yeah,
no control over it.
yeah. So yeah, and then as she come out, I did feel myself tear.
Did you?
Yeah, but well, the thing is, because I tore with Dylan and didn't
Yeah.
really know any different, but this time I tore upwards.
Right.
And
Oh, yeah.
that was
Ouch.
spicy. So I
Yes.
felt I felt it, and I just thought, "Oh my gosh,
Oh no.
that's not good."
Well, she
But
was coming out fast as well. Like you
yeah,
just, there's only so much you can do if they're going to
yeah,
come out that fast.
yeah,
There's not,
yeah.
much hope because it
No,
is. Yeah. Was
yeah.
it okay after you had stitches?
Yeah, so I got onto my sofa to have stitches, and it was fine. So I didn't manage to do much delayed cord clamping,
Mm,
unfortunately, because well, there was too much blood in the pool. She said, "I can't see the
right.
bottom of the pool, so we are going
Oh,
to have to
okay.
get you out." And I was like,
Yeah.
"That's fine." So we got out, and then when the placenta came out, I think they were struggling to get it out, as in I had the injection, because that's another thing. I wanted to wait. I wanted it to just
Yeah.
happen naturally, but I think I was bleeding maybe more than I
Okay.
thought. So they were like, "Can we? I know you
Yeah.
don't want it," but I was like, "It's fine." I was so
Yeah.
chill in the moment. I was like, "That's
Yeah.
okay."
Yeah.
So they gave me that, and then when the placenta did come out, I did feel a big, like, rush of blood as well, and I was like, "Oh my gosh," like, 'cause
Yeah.
it was like temperature change, it was quite a lot.
Wow. Yeah.
They weren't concerned. I think they weigh their cloths and things,
Yeah.
don't
Do you know
they?
how much you lost?
So it was about 350 mils, so
Oh,
not
okay. That's totally normal. Yeah.
so I think that combined with what was in the pool, they were
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, that's fine."
Yeah.
And yeah, it stitched me up, and
Wow.
yeah, they left. I think
They
I
just leave.
I
I
don't
know.
even think they were there for an hour total.
It's
Do you know, it
crazy,
was
isn't
just
it?
mad, and then
I know.
they were gone, and we were just at home with
I
this
know.
brand new baby, like, "Okay, this is
It's
strange."
really mad. I remember that feeling as well. They just leave and you're like, oh,
Yeah,
okay then. I suppose
yeah,
I just get on with it then.
yeah, yeah, see you later.
Yeah.
But I had so with Dylan, he had quite a bad tongue tie, which made our
Right.
beginning feeding journey quite difficult, because we didn't realize until he was a couple of weeks old, maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
Whereas my husband is tongue tied. So I
Ah.
had been saying to my midwife, who was also the tongue tie specialist,
Oh, good.
I said, "This baby's going to have a tongue tie.
Yeah.
We need to sort it out." And I kept saying it. So she actually checked it when she was born, and she said, "Yeah, that's a tongue tie." And it was
Oh,
attached
wow.
right to the tip of her tongue, bless her.
Oh my
But they
gosh.
can't do it until the next day.
No.
So yeah, so she had said, "Come to me tomorrow at the hospital at about 12:30." I think our appointment was. So we were just going to take her over the next day,
Wow.
just to have her tongue snipped. But it was
Bless
it
her.
turned into a very dramatic. I'm not going to say traumatic. There was an element of trauma there, but
Yeah.
um, our car seat hadn't arrived. So we hadn't, we ordered our car seat when I was 30 weeks pregnant.
Right.
And it was only supposed to take about 3 weeks from ordering to receiving. And we just didn't receive it. And I think I was
Oh no.
probably 36 weeks when I suddenly thought, I'm sure they said 3 weeks. And then
Yeah.
I checked back the email and I thought, right, it says 6 weeks max. So I was like, right, we're just at 6 weeks now. But what I did was I sent an email and I said, I know we've just reached the maximum, but I was told 3 weeks. Is there any update on it? And they didn't respond for another week. And then when they did, they basically emailed back and said, hi, we're really sorry. Yeah, so we'd actually sold out of, we've
Oh
got one of those
no.
car seats that are 3 months to 4 years, but
Right. Yeah.
you can order a newborn insert that makes it
Yeah.
compatible for those first 3 months. They basically had said that one, they didn't have the color that we ordered, so it shouldn't have been sold to me.
Oh no.
Um, and they had sold out and they were having a supplier issue with the newborn insert. And I was like, okay, so when are we going to get this seat? Anyway, and it was a real back and forth with them and for all this, the rest of my pregnancy. And then even up until days before the baby was born, they had said, oh, we do now have some newborn inserts, but they're a completely different color to the car
Oh
seat.
no.
So, and you know, when you're just thinking, well, I've been waiting 10 weeks. I
Yeah,
want
it's
the color that
crazy.
I've ordered.
Yeah.
Like, is it that difficult if you're making them? Why are you not just making them in
Yeah.
all the colors? I couldn't get my head around it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so by the time Poppy was born, we had no car seat. So
Oh, how
when
stressful.
I know, so the morning after she was born, we already knew that we were going to have to walk to the hospital
Yeah.
for her tongue tie appointment. And then you know what it's like. We've got this new baby, and as much as yes, I'd had a baby before, it was 13 years ago at this point.
Yes. Yeah.
So getting out of the house,
Yeah.
I just didn't. I'd forgotten how long
The
it
day
takes
after.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we were sort of getting her ready, and then our our pushchair was still in the box. So I was like, "That's fine. That will just pop up." So we opened the box. No, it doesn't. No,
No.
it definitely just doesn't. And I looked at it and I thought, "Oh my gosh." And then looked at the time. It was probably
Yeah.
about 12:15 at this point, and I thought, even though it's a 2-minute walk, it's gonna take me
Yeah.
15, like I've just given birth
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Course. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I looked at the sling because I had a sling to try this time, which was new to me, and then got a YouTube video up and was like, "No, I just can't." So we walked to the hospital with Poppy. I also couldn't find the hat that they put on her
Oh,
after she was
yeah.
born, and I didn't really have the only hat I could find in a bag of hats that I didn't think I was gonna need to use because it was May,
Right.
was a
Yeah.
Christmas pudding hat. So I put
She had a
Christmas
Christmas.
pudding. Yeah,
Oh, that is so good.
so we walked over to the hospital carrying this it was just so bizarre, you know, when you
That is
just think
so
this is
funny.
so it just felt
Yeah.
so unnatural, like
Yeah.
you've
Yeah.
just stolen a baby kind of thing. We're just
Yeah.
walking. But anyway, I had actually messaged my midwife that morning because through the night and in the morning, I noticed I was quite swollen
Right.
and I couldn't remember what was normal based on Dylan. Like I knew I was swollen and I definitely felt very
Yeah.
swollen, but this time I could see that it was swollen, but
Yeah.
also it was on the other side to where my stitches were and it was lower down.
Oh, okay.
So
Right.
because my stitches went up, this
Yeah.
was lower than that. So I was a bit confused. But I actually texted her and just said, "Hi Sam." I know you're gonna check my stitches anyway, but is it normal to have grown a nutsack?" Because I'm not even joking you, that is what from my angle, that's what I could see. I just looked like I'd grown a ball.
Oh, bless you. That must have been so uncomfortable, like such a weird feeling as well.
Yeah, but I just again, I just couldn't remember what was
Yes, of
normal, so I
course.
just thought,
Yeah.
"Oh, maybe it is just swollen from the stitches
Yeah.
and what have you."
Yeah.
And she just replied saying, "Ha ha, yes, it can definitely feel like that." And I was
Right.
thinking, "It doesn't feel like it, it looks
It
like
looks,
it."
yeah, it's different.
But
Yeah.
yeah, anyway, so we went to the hospital. She did Poppy's tongue tie, which was she said it was bad. She said it was like she said, "I've not had to do one like that for ages." She said that was 4 snips to get it yeah, 'cause it just came so close to the tip, bless her.
How had you
Um,
been how had she been having milk? Had you been syringing it?
so I had colostrum and I did manage to get her to latch. I did,
Wow.
but I probably shouldn't have done, and I suffered for it
Oh,
after.
yeah.
So, I mean, that's a hindsight thing. I think I was so
Yeah.
worried because I have shy nipples anyway,
Right.
so
Yeah.
the actual nipple doesn't sit out.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
until it's encouraged out, so I always knew that it was gonna be a struggle because
Yeah.
that is painful for me anyway, because it's not
Right.
how my nipple would normally sit. So I just knew that there was gonna be a bit of a challenge with it. But yeah, so with a tongue tie and a shy nipple, that probably wasn't
Yeah.
my best move. But,
Do you know you can get little sucky things that suck it out?
yes, so
Yeah.
I've got one now that I'm
Yeah.
using. I'm, like, training.
Yes. Yeah.
Which actually what's bizarre is I remember doing that with Dylan,
Right.
but for some reason it just
You
didn't cross.
forgot.
Yeah, I just completely forgot, but this time I
Yeah.
have got one and I'm just kind of every other night trying to put it on for
Yeah.
5 minutes and just try and make
It's
things
so
less.
clever. All the
Yeah,
things they have, like it's so clever that you can buy like literally this little thing that just like sucks the
yeah,
nipple
I
out.
know, and it makes
It
sense, but
does.
yeah. So,
Because
yeah.
I don't think for the people listening, they don't know you're pregnant again. You just said you have one
Oh,
this time.
yes,
They're probably thinking, okay, that's
just
strange.
having fun. Yeah, no,
You're pregnant, aren't you?
baby's coming, yeah. So, yeah, so we got to the hospital, she did the tongue tie and she said, "Right, let's check your stitches." And then we were joking about it in between because she just said, Your message made me laugh this morning." And I said, "No, no, I'm not joking." And then I got on the bed and she had a little look and she was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that's not right." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I
What
was
is it
thinking,
then?
"Oh no." So what she had to then go and get she actually had to go and get another opinion because she's quite senior. So the fact that she then had to go and get somebody else's
Right.
opinion, I was a little bit like,
Mm.
"Okay." So she got someone else to come and have a look, and then they went to go and get a consultant to come and
Oh,
have a look,
wow. Okay.
and then it can kind of continued like that, and then I ended up having, like, 5 different people come and have a look, and then it was one of I can't remember what her job role is, but she must be a consultant of some sort, but also I
Consultant
feel like they're
midwife?
they're not normally hands-on, but maybe they are.
Oh, right.
Anyway, she just said, "I'm gonna need to feel if that's okay." She said, "I'm really sorry. I know you've just given birth, but I need to feel inside to see kind of what's going on." So she had a little feel, put her fingers inside, and then she just sort of said, "Can you feel this?" And I was like, "Yes." Like, "Yes, I can." And then she said, Is it sore?" And I said, like, "Very." And she said, "Okay." And then basically what had happened is because Poppy came out so quickly, I had developed a hematoma. So if you
Oh,
bump your head and you get like a massive lump
yes.
or so I developed one there, but again on the other side to where my stitches were. So
Right.
how I don't know because I think at first she was thinking, oh, maybe it was the stitches, what have you, but it wasn't, and it was as I say, it was lower down as well.
And it
So
obviously only came out after you'd had your stitches and stuff because
yeah,
they didn't
yeah,
see
because it
it.
was
Yeah.
fine, and like they didn't have a problem stitching me up, and that
No.
evening I think I was fine, and I think it was
Right.
only during the night, and then by the morning I was like, "Oh, hello."
Ouch.
But they said, we they sort of asked me, "Was it always this big?" Like, when did
Yeah.
you notice it? I said, oh, well, I started to
Was it
notice
always
it.
this big?
Yeah, I think they wanted to know,
Was
was
your
it
ball bag always this
yeah,
big?
I know. Yeah, it actually was like that. And then they basically said I needed to have surgery they needed to cut it open to release the blood,
Oh my
because
gosh.
what they said was from what she could feel so what you could see on the outside, she said, "I don't want to scare you, but what you can see on the outside is not as much as what I can feel on the inside. I can feel much more." And I was like, "Okay." And she said, "And where it is, it's going to affect your bladder." And she said, "Obviously, when you bump your head and things will go down, but we don't know how long this will take to go
Yeah,
down
because of where it is.
from
Yeah.
what she could feel." And I was like, "Okay, fine." And then I was then I started crying because
Oh.
they said I needed to have a spinal block.
Oh
And I was
gosh.
so upset because I've had a lumbar puncture before,
Right.
and anything to do with the spine just doesn't sit right with my head. So I was
No.
just like, "But I was like, "Can you put me to sleep? Like, please, can you
Yeah,
put
you'd
me to
rather
sleep?"
that.
And they did say we can, but we don't advise it, because if you do, you can't breastfeed after.
Yeah, it's a problem. You
You're
just had a
actually
baby.
you're not gonna feel very well. If we put you to sleep, which you absolutely can, but you're really not gonna feel very well. So they had the anaesthetist come and talk to me and just sort of say, "These are your options." And she was so lovely, and she said, "I very, very rarely don't achieve a spinal block," and was just sort of
Yeah.
explaining it to me and trying to reassure me. So in the end, I decided, yeah, they could do the spinal block, which was still horrible.
Mm,
It's a theatre
mm,
room, isn't it? There's so many of them, and it's
yeah.
just now I'm not with my baby. They did say I could have her with me if I wanted, but I was then
Yeah.
crying, and
Yes.
so I just get
Yeah,
it
I get
done,
it. It can't
kind of
have
thing.
taken them long,
No,
the
it was
procedure.
no, it was super quick. So they just put it in, and then I think they cut it open, drained it, and then stitched me back up. But then
Yeah.
afterwards, and then obviously, then took me to the ward, and I
Yeah.
was just recovering in bed. But they came to me because they measured the blood that they got out of it. It was 400 ml.
Stop
Yeah,
it.
and I was
Oh my
just all
God.
I kept thinking was a can of Coke is 330 mils,
Yeah, and if you chucked a can of Coke everywhere, it
or
would look like
even just
so much.
there inside
Yes,
of
the
me
weight
slash
of it.
outside of me. I couldn't believe
Yeah,
it.
the weight of a can of Coke. If you yeah, gosh,
Yeah,
that's
and then my midwife was like, "How did you walk over here with that?" And I was like,
oh my God,
I don't know." I was like, "I don't know." But yeah, it was just the most bizarre thing, and then they kept coming round
oh,
to talk to me after, like, the consultant came to talk to me, and she said, "I've seen this about 3 times in my whole career. It's so, so rare,
really?
really rarely happens. There's no reason. It could be quick birth, it could have just been your body just shocked and
Yeah.
reacted that way for whatever reason." But, they sort of really tried to I had to have, like, checkups as well on the
Mm,
stitches afterwards that included it wasn't like trauma therapy as such, but I think they
right.
wanted to just make sure that I knew that
Yeah.
it's rare and it might not happen again and things like that.
Yeah.
But the recovery from that was probably the worst out of
Oh my
anything, which was
God.
so annoying because then the amount of blood that I had lost tallied up. They
So
wanted
they
me on
count that? Do they count
yeah,
that?
yeah.
Right, of course. Mm.
So they said, "You're gonna need to go on blood thinners," and I thought, "Oh, that's fine." But it was 6 weeks worth, so I had to
Oh
do
my God.
6 weeks, and now I think, did I really need 6 weeks? And
Right, yeah.
I will do some research around that because I'm quite an
Mm,
active person. There's no
yeah.
do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it really slowed down the, stitching healing from what they did, not the other stitches.
Yeah. So you had two lots of stitches basically.
Yeah, and then, I was going for checkups, I think, sort of every week initially, and then two weekly, and then I had to keep going back because it just wasn't healing. And then it got to 12 weeks postpartum, that I said to Anthony, and I'd been exercising again as well, and sometimes I was like, "Oh, I think it's still a bit sore, but I'm not sure if
Yeah.
it's like a mental thing." So anyway, I booked an appointment to go back and see the lady, and she said, "Yeah, so what had happened, there was a bit that they'd stitched that was a bit of a crater almost. I think they'd
Mm.
had to cut a bit out because of the damage, and then they call it granulation when it slowly comes back up to a
Yes.
normal level."
That can be
So
really uncomfortable.
yeah, so when I got back to her at the 12 weeks, she said basically what's happened is your body's not recognized that it's healed and it's over granulating. So it's now trying to go
Oh my
outwards,
God.
and she could see where it was. So she just cauterized it there. So
Right.
she just singed it pretty much just to stop it
Stop it. Yeah.
continuing. And then
Jeez.
from
God.
then it just finally just stopped. But it was just 12 weeks of just being a little bit, just a niggle, just a
Yeah.
little
And
sore
it's so
bit.
annoying for you because you'd had this like really straightforward, quick labor at
Yeah,
home, and then
yeah,
the all of this was like, I know it was related to your labor, but it really was just so unnecessary
yeah,
for like
really.
how your labor went.
Yeah, yeah, so unnecessary. And
Oh.
it's one of those, isn't it? Because it's such a culture to have the best worst birth story.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's
it
like,
is.
"Oh, well, this happened to me and I had an emergency, this, that, and the other."
Mm.
And I really was looking forward to just being like, the birth side of it is so, so
Yes.
positive, but
Yeah.
everyone was like, "Oh, but what happened afterwards?" And
Yeah.
wanted to know about that. And as much, and
Yeah.
I would say to people, that doesn't change anything from my birth. Like,
Yeah.
the
I
birth
get
was
it.
so peaceful, like
Yeah.
like beyond what you can imagine, and that was just a random thing that happened to happen.
And it would have happened if you'd given birth in the hospital anyway. Like
Yeah,
it's not
yeah,
anything to do with being
exactly.
at home. It would have
No,
you would have gone back home and then the exact same thing would have happened
yeah,
overnight.
yeah,
But this way you got your lovely
yeah,
peaceful home birth
yeah,
ahead of it. It's just a shame. So this time giving birth,
yes, yeah.
has that factored into
So
your
all my
plans?
Yeah, sort of, but also not. I think because it's so rare, they don't expect it to happen again. But
Okay.
I requested the same midwife again, and she
Oh,
did
good.
actually. So I'm 35 weeks now. So we
Yeah.
had the birth chat last week, and she said, thinking about what happened last time, I think what we'll make sure to do this time is get you onto the bed properly. Because
Okay.
even though I was on the sofa, I did have a stool that my bum was on, so I was still
Yeah.
sort of laid down. But
Yeah.
she just said, "I want to make sure that we really,"
Okay.
she said, it's not nice, but I want to take my time."
Yes, of course.
Just
Yeah.
checking you over. And I said, "That's fine." So I
You'd
think,
rather that, wouldn't you? You know?
yeah, she's got it in the back of her mind, but equally, I guess there's no expectation that it would
No.
necessarily happen again. And I think
No.
if it does, I think I definitely will take less blood thinners, because I
Yeah.
didn't realise how much that slows your recovery down.
Yeah, right.
Um,
Yeah, of course.
so yeah, I just need to research that a bit more, and
Yeah,
then just see kind of what's going to be the
yeah.
best
But
thing.
so you're planning to be at home again this time.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah. Oh, nice.
yeah.
Do you know what you're having, a boy or a girl?
No,
Oh,
no,
nice
we don't know.
surprise.
Yeah, and we didn't know with Poppy. I couldn't believe she was a girl. I just,
Ah,
I think because I had Dylan first,
yeah, you
and the
can't imagine
pregnancy
anything
was like,
else.
yeah, you can't. And I was just convinced it would be a boy, and then now I'm doing the opposite. Now I can't imagine having a boy again.
Oh,
So
really? Oh,
yeah, so
wow.
just no
Oh,
idea.
please let me know when you give
Yeah,
birth. I'd like
I
to
will.
know.
I will too. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Lovely. Are you excited for this next birth?
I am, yeah. So the birth itself, I'm really excited, because it just blows my mind, and it's just so. And I think this last time with Poppy, it was just so calm, and
Yeah.
I just put on this drone footage of
Oh.
Sri Lanka. So
Oh.
my husband's from Sri Lanka,
Oh,
and
nice.
we went there on pretty much on our honeymoon, and we went to this one location. It's called Gaul Fort, and
Mm.
it's this fort that's on the seafront. So you just
Okay.
look out on the water, and we went there, and because I'd already been doing so much birth prep, I sat on the edge of Gulfport and practiced my hypnobirthing breathing,
Oh
even
my
though I wasn't
God.
pregnant. I just
I
knew,
love
and
that.
I just really tried to visualize that
Yeah.
scene, and then I wanted it to be my just the picture I
Yeah.
had in
Like
my
try
head.
to remember it so that you
Yeah,
could
yeah.
visualize it.
So when it
Wow.
happened, I was looking for spa music and it wasn't quite ticking the box. And I thought, oh, I wonder if I just put on some drone footage. And weirdly, the music was so, yeah. So I just had that on in the background the whole
Yeah.
time. And it was just so peaceful.
Did it come to your mind, that
Yeah,
image?
I did manage it. Yeah, which was really, really nice because I'm normally really bad with stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Visualization, really bad. Or
Yeah.
maybe more like when you do meditation and things
Hmm.
and you're supposed to control your thought. I'm really bad at that.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
just off thinking about
Yeah. I get it.
shopping
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
to-do
I'm
lists
a bit like
and
that
things.
too. Yeah.
So I was quite surprised at myself. But yeah, so I plan much the same this time. The only thing is we've got a 2-year-old logistic that I'm not
Mm.
I'm not really
Yes.
sure.
It's a bit stressful.
Yeah, I just keep saying, talking to my uterus, if you can Monday to Friday while Poppy's at nursery, that
Yeah,
would be
that would be
great.
great. Please, or
But
overnight, like while
yeah,
she's
oh yeah,
asleep.
yeah, any of those
That's
would be the preferred
ideal. Have you
option,
got a
but
car seat sorted?
no, we actually don't. We haven't we actually haven't even ordered one yet this
Oh
time, which
my
is
gosh,
I
what is
know,
with you in the car
I know,
seat?
I know. This time it's my fault, but, to be honest, I think it'll be fine because,
Because also, worst case, you've probably still got the one she's in, right? If you got the
yes,
newborn bit, you could.
yeah, so we
Right.
could do that, and then, to be honest, I don't plan on I might go
No.
for walks and things, but I don't plan on leaving the house. I've even said
Yeah.
this time, I don't want visitors,
No.
just want that kind of
Nice.
time to just
Yeah.
be left alone, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it'll be fine. We're gonna order one. I think it's I've put it in the diary because that's that's how busy life is. I have to schedule in when I'm
Yeah.
gonna research and
Order
buy things.
something.
Yeah.
Don't get it from the same place.
No,
Don't get it from the same shop.
no. But yeah, it's in the plan. We'll
Oh,
order one. Will be
nice.
good.
Oh, lovely. Oh, thank
Yeah,
you for chatting to me. I've loved hearing your story. I mean, obviously, I know that the sort of after bit was not so great for you, but it's so lovely to hear your story.
yeah,
And I really wish you, I just hope your birth this time is
yeah,
similar and really
yeah.
positive. And please do
Sure it
let
will
me
be.
know and come back and
Yeah,
share that story as well when
I
you feel
will.
ready.
Yeah,
That would
thank
be
you so much
great.
for having me. I feel
Yeah.
like your podcast is so important, and
Mm.
I love hearing all variations, and there's so many different outcomes that can happen, weird and wonderful, and I just thought
Yeah.
I found they really helped me, and I just thought I would hear something and be like, "Oh, I've heard about this before," and then
Mm.
be okay about it. So that's why I kind of wanted to come on and
Yeah, like
share
it's
my
important.
little
I've
bit.
never heard of your story
No,
before. So it's really important because you never know. Like there's people all over the world that listen to this. There could be somebody somewhere
yeah,
that experiences that and thinks, "Oh, I remember hearing about this."
yeah,
Because all those little tiny bits of information that we take in, sometimes they just crop back out, don't they, when we need
yeah,
them.
yeah,
So yeah, no, so thank you for sharing. I'm sure it would be super helpful for people. And also just how, yeah, lovely your birth was. I mean, just
yeah. Thank
ideal, really.
yeah,
Couple of hours done.
yeah,
No messing. Oh, but thank you so much, Chantelle. And yeah, please do come back and good luck, obviously, for your birth coming up.
yeah. I will do. Thanks, Claire.
Thank you.
Thank you.